Sometimes when you want to write fancy, there's no substitute for pulling out the old inkwell and dip pen. Most of the time, though, you want to write like a normal person, but you want to add something special to how you write to make it stand out. So to do that, we'll look back to history and add a little something to Roundhand to make it look good. And you don't even have to get your fingers inky. Hey everyone, this is CJ of CJ's Creative Studio, and today we're going to look at ligatures. Those are those double letters, like here in the U.S. Declaration of Independence, that are tied together and written as one letter. They help make your writing look a little more impressive, make it a little easier to write once you get used to it, and it lets you kind of hold on to how people used to write in the past. So as we start out, we're going to start with something very simple, and it's probably something you already do. The double T. This is just two T's in a row that share a single crossbar. Now you can write it as two separate T's like I did above, and that's perfectly fine. But you probably do this already, and that's just use one crossbar to cross both T's. It's very simple, but by definition, it is a ligature. It's just a little thing. Now, the next thing that we're going to look at isn't actually in the Declaration of Independence. The double P is something that dates back earlier than that. In order to save space from writing two P's, which you see here I have either as a straight line or as looped. I usually do both. You kind of stop that extra dip in between the letters and you just combine the downstroke of the first P into the lead stroke of the second P. If you're reading quickly, you don't even notice the difference. Now, one that you see me do a lot is the TH ligature. Now again, you can write it as TH, and this happens a lot, often in the same document. But just as often, you use the lead in to the T and the lead in to the H, and you combine them so that they kind of form the crossbar for the T. It's fairly easy to write, but it adds an element that a lot of people can't put their finger on why it's different. Lastly, we're going to look at the most difficult of the four to write, and that's the double F. Now again, like with the P, you can have straight descenders or you can loop them. But it starts looking a little busy or a little plain. But if you tie your F's together, in this case it's kind of like doing a long S and an F, and then loop them together like with a bow, it looks a lot more finished. And it looks really fancy. It looks like, how in the world could somebody write like that? The hard part is getting the first F to not kind of angle out too much. It does take a lot of practice, and as you can see, I goof it up sometimes too. Now, something some of you may have noticed is that this looks a lot like one of the forms of capital H. In fact, it kind of is, but you just drop it down to the baseline. The thing is that when you're kind of getting out of it, instead of hooking into the next letter, you loop around and then continue the next letter. It's a subtle difference, but it makes the H into the double F. And here you just loop it around. It's a lot of fun. All the cool kids are doing it. And to tie things up, I'm just going to scribble out those words that I wrote before. This is really sloppy because I've been writing this all night and it got worse and worse and worse. But at least I spelled all the words correctly, so we're going with this one. And that's going to be it for this time. It's pretty short. So please click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and look forward to the next video. So until next time, as always, please be creative and keep on practicing. And have fun.